The terrifying story begins by showing a very large palace, which is engulfed in darkness, making it impossible to see anything. Now, we are introduced to an old man in the basement of that palace, whose name is Blackwood, and he lives alone in the entire palace. Blackwood is performing some strange activity in the basement when he calls out to his maid to bring down some important items. His maid, who is very scared, slowly makes her way down. But little did she know that Blackwood had set a trap beneath her feet, and she gets caught in it, falling down painfully. Blackwood's behavior becomes very strange, and he approaches the maid directly. He tells her that he is forced to do this, and it is that dangerous thing that is making him act this way. The maid realizes at this moment that Blackwood is going to kill her. In the next moment, the old man completely shatters the maid's teeth. He starts smashing her teeth with a hammer. Unable to bear the pain, she dies right there. Blackwood, now acting like a madman, collects her broken teeth and places them on a plate, taking them to a cave nearby. The cave is peculiar, with an opening that leads deep inside. Blackwood places all the teeth in a plate and says, "I have brought all these teeth as per your promise, take them and spare my son." It is unclear who Blackwood is talking to. Suddenly, something terrifying emerges from the cave, a dangerous entity that swiftly pulls Blackwood inside with a loud noise. Blackwood is powerless to do anything, and his life is taken as well. Who that horrifying entity was remains a mystery. Now, the scene shifts to 10 years later, where we see a girl named Sally. Sally is on her way to meet her father, Alex, because he is going to keep her with him from now on. They are all at the airport, and Alex picks up his daughter Sally. The situation is that Sally's father, Alex, and her mother have divorced. They have separated permanently, but Alex has obtained custody of his daughter. Alex also has a girlfriend named Kim. But Sally did not like Kim at all, she only liked her mother. Alex had moved into a large palace with his daughter and Kim. In fact, Alex had recently bought this house during his work, which was none other than the same house shown at the beginning of the story. They all entered the house without thinking and started living there. Alex planned to marry Kim in some time and intended to start a new beginning for his family. Now, we see Sally, who ventured out to explore the garden because she loved to explore new places. As Sally wandered, she began to head towards the forested area, going a bit deeper inside. Before she could go further, an old man appeared. This old man was none other than Blackwood's grandson. He grabbed Sally and stopped her from proceeding because he knew that the forest was very dangerous, and there was a cave ahead where Sally could fall in. He was concerned about her safety, which is why he held her and told her to leave. After a while, Sally's father, Alex, and Kim arrived. They reassured their daughter and asked her what she had noticed. Sally then told her father about a place in the apartment that led from the basement to somewhere else. The old man, who was the caretaker of the entire palace, also entered the scene. Blackwood's grandson had only heard stories about these things, and this was his first time seeing them. Alex began to feel suspicious, so when he took a hammer and broke down a wall, he discovered a tunnel that led to a bunker, indicating that there were other secret passages. The old man felt that this was not safe at all, but he could not say anything because the house now belonged to Alex, and Alex could do whatever he wanted. Alex, along with Kim and his daughter Sally, started moving deeper into the place, wanting to know what was inside and why he hadn't been informed about it before. As the three of them descended the stairs, they came across a very large cabinet. This entire scene takes place in the same location shown at the beginning of the story. There is an opening that had been closed off. However, when Sally goes near it, she tries to open it and check, but the opening had been completely sealed for safety. Alex decides to take them all away because there isn't anything important here, but Sally becomes very interested in the opening because she heard some sounds coming from inside. After a while, Sally goes alone to the area with the opening. When she presses her ear against it, she hears the voice of something that sounds like a child saying, "Get us out, we are hungry." To confirm this, Sally inserts a metal wire inside, and after a short while, someone pulls it from within, indicating that there is indeed someone inside. This prompts Sally to try to open the place and find out what is inside. Gradually, she starts to open it, but just then, her father Alex arrives and asks her what she is doing alone there. Sally tells him that she heard some voices from inside, as if someone was present and calling for help. When Alex checks by placing his ear against the opening, he doesn't hear any sounds, but shortly after, he pulls out an iron rod from inside and tries to use it to attack the opening. However, as he pushes the iron rod forward, he steps back. He tells his daughter Sally that there is nothing there, so she should come back up after playing. But as Sally moves away, it becomes visible that a latch is opening by itself. Slowly, the lock covering the opening completely comes off. Sally is a little shocked as she turns around to see that it has truly opened. Now, Sally leans into the opening to check who is calling for help. Suddenly, she finds a plate inside containing many teeth, which we obviously know belong to the maid that the old man had broken. As Sally goes to touch the teeth, 2 of them are found next to her. The plate filled with the remaining teeth falls to the ground, and Sally is scared by the sight, wondering how these teeth ended up here. Nevertheless, she takes the 2 teeth and heads upstairs. Alex's entire family has no idea that they are about to fall into danger, but what was written was bound to happen. At this point, Alex is sitting with his girlfriend Kim, discussing that he has received custody of his daughter Sally, meaning she will always be with him. However, he is unaware that Sally is sitting nearby, listening to all of this. Sally feels very upset because she doesn't want to stay with her father forever. She prefers her mother and wants to live with both of them. But now, it seems she may never leave here. Sally becomes extremely angry and starts to leave in sadness. However, after entering her room, she notices a teddy bear moving in a strange way, as if it has come to life. But after a while, Sally realizes that someone is shaking the teddy from behind. As she approaches to touch it, the teddy bear is thrown at her. Here, we see some small creatures that are doing this, running around from one place to another. It becomes clear that all those creatures have come out of the opening in the basement, which had now been completely opened. However, Sally pays little attention to this and goes to sleep. She places the teeth she found inside the opening under her pillow. Sally falls into a deep sleep, but the next morning, Alex and Kim begin to feel something strange. Kim finds that all her clothes have been torn apart, and it is none other than those small creatures who did this. However, Kim believes that Sally must have done it, as she doesn't like her. When Sally wakes up, she checks the tooth she had placed under her pillow, but then she realizes that the tooth has transformed into a silver coin. It resembles something out of a fairy tale story that Sally's mother used to tell her. She now believes that those small creatures are fairies who have transformed the tooth into a silver coin. Sally becomes very excited and heads straight to the basement, near the opening. She calls out to all the fairies, asking them to come out. Sally is not scared of them at all, but as she gets a little closer, Blackwood's grandson arrives. Seeing Sally here, he becomes very angry and tells her to go back upstairs. In fact, Blackwood's grandson has come to close off this entire area because he probably realizes that someone is coming from here, putting Alex's family in danger. That's why he points a flashlight towards the opening to prevent any attack and begins the process of completely locking it. However, little does he know that all the sharp tools from the toolbox he brought have been taken by those small creatures, who now attack the old man. The number of small creatures is quite large, and with the help of the sharp tools, they begin to assault him on every body part. Before long, the old man is severely injured, and blood begins to flow from every part of his body. But he manages to grab the flashlight and starts hitting the creatures with it. It becomes clear that the small creatures are very afraid of light, which is why they start fleeing. The old man seizes the opportunity and makes his way up the stairs, but his condition is very bad, and he collapses. Sally's maid rushes to help him, not understanding what has happened. When Alex learns about this, he calls the police officers, and now they all begin their investigation to find out what happened to this man and who attacked him. After this incident, Sally becomes very frightened and hardly speaks, which causes Alex a lot of concern. As a result, Alex and Kim start sleeping with Sally to keep her comforted. One day, it was quite late, so Kim put Sally to bed in her room. Sally was fast asleep in a deep slumber. But then, shortly after, those dangerous little creatures began to approach him and started to harm him. Sally wakes up and finds those same creatures right in front of her. She screams loudly, causing all the creatures to flee, and Alex and Kim rush in. Alex quickly grabs his daughter, who is crying heavily. Sally tells her father about the little creatures, saying they came to disturb her. However, it was obvious that no one would believe such a young girl. Alex thought that his daughter Sally must have had a bad dream. The little creatures took the opportunity to escape far away. It was confirmed that those small creatures cannot come out in the light, which is why they prefer to stay in the dark. Alex started to feel that his daughter was becoming unwell, so he called a doctor to check on her and find out what was wrong. After a while, a doctor arrived and began to examine Sally. After the checkup, the doctor suggested that Sally was likely feeling very lonely and isolated, which is why she was depressed. The remedy, according to the doctor, was to keep Sally engaged in activities that would shift her focus to positive things. Alex and Kim were very worried about Sally but were determined to do whatever it takes to help their daughter. Now we see Kim going to visit the old man who was attacked badly the previous night. She goes directly to the hospital and comes face to face with Blackwood's grandson, who is indeed in very poor condition. The little creatures had attacked him, injuring his eyes and various body parts, to the extent that he could barely see. Kim begins to ask him who attacked him and what is present in that house. She urges him to tell her the truth. However, the old man doesn't reveal everything directly but gives her a hint instead. He tells her to go to the library and read a very interesting series of books, even mentioning the name of the series. So now, Kim doesn't waste any time and, telling the old man to rest, heads to the library. There, she finds the book mentioned by the old man, which is about a great painter, none other than Blackwood, whom we saw at the beginning of the story. Blackwood was a renowned painter who excelled at landscape and nature painting, earning numerous prestigious awards. At one point, Blackwood made a lot of money and gained recognition through his art. However, over time, his interests began to change. Blackwood started thinking about dangerous demons and the creatures that exist in this world but are invisible to us. His focus shifted entirely to dark habits, so he stopped painting landscapes and nature and began drawing these demons. He depicted the demons in every way possible and talked about them in detail. He even wrote a book related to all these things, which contained explanations for each picture, detailing why it was created and where these demons lived. In that book, those small creatures are shown to live underground. The book states that these creatures feed on human bones and teeth. When a person dies, they are buried, and these creatures consume their remains. This means that they do not attack any living humans. However, after a time when people stopped believing in the stories of these creatures, they began to attack humans. Emerging from the depths of the earth, they started attacking any human they encountered, consuming their bones and teeth. Additionally, for any child who placed their teeth under their pillow, these creatures would take the teeth and leave a silver coin in their place. But now, it seems the behavior of these small creatures had become more aggressive. Kim understood that it was likely these small creatures that had attacked Blackwood's grandson, leading to his current condition. But she wanted to protect her daughter, Sally, from all these dangerous things. We see Sally now, who was taking a bath when those small creatures attacked her. They wanted to grab her, hurt her, and eat her teeth. Sally became very scared and started screaming, which is why her maid came running. She found Sally completely unconscious, while the small creatures had temporarily fled. However, they would surely return next time to kill Sally. The maid took Sally safely back to her room and laid her down to rest. But Sally was so frightened that she gathered her things and ran far away from the palace. When Kim arrived inside the palace, she realized that Sally had disappeared. The maid explained everything to her about how Sally had suddenly gotten scared in the bathroom and had run away. Alex quickly came to Kim, and they got in the car to search for their daughter. After all the stories and research, Kim started to believe in these creatures. She told Alex that what their daughter was saying might actually be true, that those small creatures could be real and that there was something strange inside that palace. Therefore, they would have to leave the palace. However, Alex got a bit angry because he had worked hard to acquire this place. They both temporarily stopped arguing and went back to look for their daughter, whom they found walking along the road. Alex brought his daughter and Kim back into the palace. He explained that they would only stay there for today because there was a party happening, and they would leave after the party was over. Sally was a little happy about this, so Kim gave her a camera and told her to keep taking pictures of the creatures to show proof. Kim also told Sally that those small creatures couldn't come out in the light, so she didn't need to worry. After so many days, Sally received a gift, and she started clicking pictures with the camera. Many guests had arrived at the party, and they were all enjoying themselves a lot. Sally was taking pictures of the creatures with the help of the camera, but those creatures were secretly attacking her. They dropped books on her and dragged her into the library section, which was dark and devoid of light. However, whenever Sally clicked the camera, it emitted light, causing the creatures to flee in fear. Still, some of the smaller creatures banded together to knock the camera out of her hands, and they began to attack Sally. Sally screamed loudly while trying to take pictures of all of them, which caused all the party guests to rush toward the library. Alex also arrived after hearing his daughter's voice and tried to open the library door, but the creatures had locked it. With no other option, he had to break down the door to quickly reach his daughter, Sally. Sally was crying a lot and said that the creatures were present and trying to hurt her. She even showed him the photos she had taken, which were all dark, with nothing clearly visible. However, Alex could see how frightened Sally was. Even though this palace was very important to him, his family was even more important. If his daughter was not safe, what was the use of the palace? Alex began to think seriously about all this. Kim took Alex to their room and showed him all her research. She even showed him the photos of the creatures that had been underground for many years and had become very aggressive toward humans as a result of their current situation. After hearing all these research papers and stories, Alex also began to believe, so he told Kim that they would leave as soon as the party was over. Within a few hours, all the guests left, and the party came to an end. Alex now sat his daughter and Kim in the car, ready to drive away. But little did he know that the small creatures were very cunning and would not let them leave easily. Just as Alex was getting into the car, the creatures tied a rope around his legs. They pulled him and made him fall hard to the ground. Alex was injured and was being dragged to the other side. Kim, terrified, tried to run away, but the creatures didn't spare her either. They threw her down the stairs, causing her to lose consciousness. Just before passing out, Kim saw those small creatures that looked very dangerous. Now it was Sally's turn, and the creatures tied her up with a rope and began to drag her toward the opening to take her into the darkness. They love to eat children, along with their teeth and skeletons. Sally screamed for help, but the creatures continued to pull her toward the opening. Suddenly, Kim appeared. She quickly broke the rope that the creatures had tied around Sally and freed her. But the creatures immediately began to attack Kim again, grabbing her and pulling her toward the opening. Kim couldn't do anything, the creatures were all over her body. They pulled Kim into the opening so forcefully that one of her legs broke. She was in so much pain that the creatures dropped her and dragged her into the darkness. At that moment, Alex regained consciousness and quickly reached the room, but by then, the creatures had already pulled Kim away, and she had gone to hell. Alex hurriedly closed the opening and took his daughter Sally out of the palace. He decided that he would never return to this palace again. He was satisfied that nothing had happened to his daughter, and now he would spend his life with his ex-wife, which would provide Sally with a good family and a much better upbringing. And this is how our story ends.